People who use ding-dong enlargement pills, how did that work out? The best method I have found for penis enlargement is losing weight. I was overweight most of my life, but in my senior year of high school I decided to get in shape. By sophomore year of college I was in great shape and my ween appeared to be at least 2 inches bigger. I mean, I'm sure that wasn't true, but it looked like a completely different wang. I'm sure this isn't quite the answer folks are looking for. But if you're a bit pudgy and concerned about the size of your heat-seeking moisture missile, try to get in shape. It's not easy, but it is awesome. I've heard various stretching exercises can gain you something like half an inch in length in a couple months of rigorously applying the techniques daily. I've also heard if you mess it up, you can permanently damage your ability to get an erection. Someone replied, definitely don't try this. I lost my ability to get and keep a normal erection at the age of 18, I'm 25 now, lost almost all sensitivity in my joystick. Messed up my sexual life. I was struggling with suicidal thoughts for years. Doing therapy has helped, but the stigma is still there. I didn't treat the problem at the time because of shame, lack of money and health insurance. How do you explain your parents and friends that you have had for such a stupid accident? The funny thing is that I initially came across those exercises, jelqing and stretching, the latter caused the worst damage, while searching how to straighten the curvature, not for an enlargement method. Even though I'm slightly below average, it wasn't a big deal, no pun intended. I needed to get this off my chest. Please, don't make the same mistake I did. It's not worth taking the risk. Never tried anything to make my willy bigger. I'm doing alright for myself. But I remember watching an episode of Mansers where they asked doctors and they all said the only way to make your Johnson bigger is surgery. There is a tendon they can snip in your gooch, that will make it 2 to 3 inches bigger. Downside is that it becomes a bit floppy. Ever see a porn star with a huge instrument, but it doesn't stand up on its own? Hangs down or he has to hold it? That's the surgery. So if anyone is genuinely interested, surgery is the only answer. But your soldier won't stand at attention. Not enlargement, but once tried a weird knockoff Viagra bought online. Gave me the dongest of dongs for a good few hours but also made my vision go blue. Everything blue. Slept it off and woke up to normal vision. Looked in the mirror, left pupil about twice the size of the right. That was 6 years ago. Left pupil still a constant 20% or so larger than the right to this day, so I guess I enlarged something. I dated a guy who said he wore one of those meat sword stretchers. It sounded like a torture device. He had to wear it for hours a day. For months at a time. He said he gained. I don't even remember. It was enough for it to matter to him. He was fine the way he was. He would have been fine had he done nothing to change his size. One of the things I took away from dating him is how insecure men can be about their yogurt gun size. So whenever I date anyone, I always tell them the very specific details and how I love their schlort. I never lie, that would be too tough to maintain long term, but I always find something. Huge girth. Love the way it curves. The hardest I've ever been with. I can barely fit it in my mouth. Whatever. I don't understand the cucumber insecurity, but I am going to do my best to rid this world of dingus insecurities, one schnitzel at a time. Adult toy store worker chiming in: most creams and pills found will work on a cardiovascular level. More diverted blood to the penis, the bigger it gets. These tend to work more of a temporary, limited time frame basis. Take this with a grain of salt. Diabetics, people with heart issues or people prone to headaches, the pills are more likely to present issues. Please consult a physician prior to taking these if you have any known issues. Pumps can work for a long-term boost. The basis behind a dragon pump is that it stretches out the skin so there is more room for blood to fill. That said, there is only about a total 1 or 1.5 inch length and girth gain at the most. Your skin is only so elastic, so past a point, it doesn't really work anymore. Downside 1, if you use them incorrectly, you can cause nerve damage. Downside 2, typically, this needs to be done a certain amount of times per day, for a certain amount of time, for a certain numbers of months. Proper usage is 3 times per week, 2 times per day, for 20 minutes each, 5 minutes with the pump, 10 to 15 with a love rod ring, done over the course of 3 to 6 months minimum. You should be using lube and you should be pumping until it feels tight but not painful. Any pain should be an immediate complete release of pressure in the pump and wait to get a natural erection before attempting again. Past a certain point, a big old boy is just a headache and isn't enjoyable. Pills don't work because they would be much more popular. There are plenty of dudes with a lot of money and a small bratwurst. Additionally to the ladies, Jimmy insecurity is like boob size and weight insecurity, it doesn't matter that much to most, but there's a large vocal group that obviously prefers big fudge sickles and big breasts or flat stomachs. So it's not completely ridiculous to be insecure about it. Yeah, they work, but it is very possible to overdo it and permanently damage yourself. With a pump you can gain about an inch in girth and length before it becomes unnatural. Thing is, if you have a foreskin that will balloon when you thrust in, you'll end up stuck. Not the greatest thing in the world. Especially if you unkindly wind up accidentally hitting cervix even without using any enhancement. Now, you may think that knotting your girlfriend or wife sounds fun, and it is. Thing is, it is her body and it is seriously not cool to be stuck in someone who is having instant regret. That isn't permanent, some people say it can be, but I'm pretty sure they're exaggerating. On the plus side, they make you super sensitive, and can be used on women as well. Just don't overdo it. Tension machines take much longer and have permanent results. Thing is, they can result in erectile dysfunction. Those are mostly recommended for medical applications, and they are effective. They suck for foreplay. Besides that, take zinc while you're in puberty. No idea if it actually works, but anecdotally it can. All in all, I'd say risking your procreative ability isn't worth it. I used to work for a clinical psychologist a couple of years ago. I would transcribe progress notes, so I knew about all his cases. He had a male client whose first marriage ended in a divorce due to how small his weenie was. His wife wanted a kid, but she couldn't find pleasure in sleeping with him, and no matter how much they tried, they couldn't have kids, so she left him. He decided to have a penile enlargement implant, which made his equipment about 2 inches longer. However, he began struggling to get erections. The rest of the story is unrelated, but I must go on because this man is bad luck Brian incarnate. Although he struggled to get an erection now due to a botched penile implant, he found love again. About 6 months into this new relationship though, his girlfriend became pregnant and he had no idea how. Turns out she cheated on him and was now pregnant with another man's baby. Was at a mate's bar and an older, pretty pissed Chinese guy was messing around and gave us a bunch of green pills. He has lived here longer than I have, and is a bit of a character, but not dodgy, so we accepted. Mostly because as universal these will give you an elephant ding-a-ling signals, arm at crotch, elbow bent up and shaking his fist, was growing old and we wanted to get rid of him. Everyone had a good laugh, and a few guys wondered how they would work, much banter, etc. Eventually I thought, F it, and took one. Felt a bit flushed, red face and a little sweaty after about half an hour, but none of the intended consequences. The night went on. My fiancé and I had a small tiff about something stupid, and we left. In bed at about 1 a.m., I thought something was happening, had a semi that just hung around, not going flaccid, and not getting erect either. This was about 2 to 3 hours after taking the pill. Woke up at about 6. I'm not particularly hung up about my junk, it is what it is, average. That morning, it was not average. I woke up with the hard and like you wouldn't believe. I didn't bust out a measuring tape, but I swear it was double the length and girth I'd ever seen my tackle. I felt like a porn star. Girlfriend was still sour, so no luck there, and my morning piss was a bit of an experience. It had started to hurt a bit, sort of a dull pain. I assumed it had been erect for a few hours by the time I woke up. Rubbing one out took about an hour and didn't help. I didn't set out to do a penis enlargement method, it actually just happened on accident. And to be fair, I'm actually not certain that it even was enlarged. My saying that will make sense later. What I can say is that I have a fairly large Peter, close to 8 inches. A quick Google search says the average is 5.6, erect, so I'm securely above the average. I'm in no way a medical expert, and I haven't done research on this in a long time. Consider it a layman's account, and do your own research. So back in high school, early on, when I was going through puberty, my parents bought me zinc tablets. Zinc, according to them, would help improve memory. I honestly gave up on it after a while, but I took them for lick. So, fast forward, I'm in college taking an EMT, Emergency Medical Technician, course. If you're unfamiliar with that, think of it as a lighter version of being a paramedic. One of the instructors, who was an actual paramedic, casually mentioned an interesting fact about zinc. We were talking about the endocrine system at the time, the glands that control, among other things, the maturation during puberty, and the growth of the body. According to him, the only time during which you can legitimately affect the growth of the goofy goober and make it larger, is during puberty. Made sense to me. and zinc directly affects the glands to produce the various hormones that regulate the growth of your private part. At which point I remember the zinc tablets from high school, and thought to myself, huh, interesting. So I honestly can't say if it worked or if it did nothing, because I have no baseline to compare anything to. I've got one data point. I can only state the facts. I have a pork sword that is above average in size, approximately 43% bigger, if my math is correct. I was told by a medical professional with 20+ years of experience that zinc, taken during puberty, will permanently make a sausage larger. And lastly, I personally took zinc during puberty. Important edit: before you all run out and start taking zinc, please note that it is toxic when taken in extreme quantities. I would recommend that you take care not to overdose on it. Safety comes first. I am not a registered dietitian nor a doctor, and you should consult one before making any extreme changes to your diet. The Wikipedia page can explain further on the effects of zinc toxicity. I made a throwaway just to save some of you from the problems I've suffered due to my insecurities. I hope I can convince you to be happy with what you have. I'm 19 years old and this is my story. Just last May, I was with a new girlfriend from university. We'd been together only 3 weeks, but we'd had sex quite a number of times. While she was giving me oral, she told me that my danger noodle was a lot smaller than the other guys she's been with. Let me be clear that she was literally holding it while she said this. Now I didn't know how to take this. Stupid, insecure me being a hopeless romantic wanted to improve myself for my girlfriend. I'm fairly normal in terms of size, 5.75 long and 5 around, but I was seriously hurt by this comment. I went online and found a website claiming to increase your size. These guys preached a technique called jelking, and the idea is to grip your shaft from the base at around 50% erection and milk it. So I did this jelking for 2 weeks, following some regimen they had for beginners. At the end of the second week, I woke up to find that I could no longer get hard. I assumed maybe I overworked it, whatever. This lasted for 5 days and I was panicking. The day I went to a clinic to find out what was wrong, I was finally getting erections again at about 30%. They referred me to a urologist and I explained to him what happened. He said to take a rest for 6 weeks, hopefully everything will be okay. 6 weeks passes and I still can't achieve a full erection. My maximum was 70% and I was having weird symptoms with my member. I had developed a torsion of maybe 10 degrees, as in the head was rotated. Nothing too grotesque as I've seen other guys born with this naturally, but it just wasn't straight anymore. The other symptom led to searches online pointing to something called hard flaccid, something not medically recognized as a real symptom. My wang would not go soft basically. It felt rubbery and stiff all the time, and it only relaxed to what I was used to if I was urinating or laying down on my back. It's resistant to being moved and prevents me from getting an erection while standing up. I saw 2 more urologists and 2 clinic doctors and told them what was going on. I made sure to be clear about the exact motions I made when I was trying this jelking nonsense. One told me to have a cystoscopy done and the other said to take another 2 months rest. Cystoscopy came out clear. He still had no idea what was going on and said take a few months rest like the other doctor said. Now, I've got another urologist appointment with the cystoscopy urologist in December after rest. He's probably going to schedule me for a pelvic MRI, but we have no idea what's going on. There's apparently no scar tissue, but my trouser snake is stiff unless I'm resting on my back or after urinating. Obviously my girlfriend broke up the week after I had my issue. I don't blame her for anything, it was my own insecurities that led me to my decision. I'm a young guy who didn't know how to deal with the situation and I ended up doing something stupid. I've been majorly abstinent over the course of these 4 months or so. I didn't touch anything down there until about 2 weeks ago. It's been a challenge, but I'm putting my health first. Please be happy with what you have. Don't let other people put you down and recognize that a good partner would accept you for who you are. Be secure in what you've been given. A small, working tallywhacker will always be better than a broken 7 inches. Oh, and if by some miracle one of you have heard of a similar situation to mine or recognize the problem, please let me know. I've been to counseling offered by my university to get over this mentally, but I'm going to stay positive in that I might one day recover. Okay, here's the thing. I tried them. First off, they don't work as people think they would. There's usually stuff in it that increases the flow of blood, so your member looks more swelled up. They also usually contain zinc, which makes you come more. Some of the herbs make you last longer. All of those 3 things is good for your self-confidence. And so, in a weird way, they so work. However, I cannot recommend it to anyone. It's way better to take your multivitamins, drink lots of water, exercise regularly, wear loose underwear and generally be aware of penile health. Manscaping is also a very solid option. It'll not only make it look bigger, it's more appealing to almost every woman I've ever met. But the most important thing is to be happy about your pecker. I've got an average, 5-inch, schlong, but I was convinced I couldn't satisfy any woman ever. And honestly, when I was under that impression, it killed my self-confidence and I couldn't act sexy because I didn't feel sexy. So, F all the nonsense. Your Johnson is your Johnson. Most probably, it's fine. If it is too short, learn how to go down on your partner. Treat that box like a temple. Get some toys. This is the 21st century, my man, there's a ton of options available. Confidence is more than the size of your wiener. Read books, have opinions. Instead of wasting your money of those shitty pills, upgrade your wardrobe. Be happy with yourself. Women find that damn sexy.